Hi, so this is Douglas fir, and I'm quite excited about this one because this is one of my favourite trees, all-time favourite trees. I've planted quite a lot of these back in England and it grows into a massive, beautiful looking fir tree. It's native to Northwest America, and this is in Colorado on the Front Range here. This is right on the edge of its kind of eastern range, so they don't grow that big here. In fact, I haven't really found any kind of much bigger than this one here. It's quite a nice tall straight one with a nice deep crown. But yeah, they grow to a massive size on the west coast of the US, and in the UK they grow pretty well. So the tallest trees in England are actually Douglas firs. It's even got a cool scientific name, Pseudotsuga menziesii. So write that one down and remember it. But yeah, it grows into a really impressive tree, and the timber is great. So that's another reason I like it and have planted it. It produces real nice, strong timber, durable, and also good to work with as well. And we just took a trip up north recently. We had to go up to the Canadian border for passport and visa reasons. And so we went up through Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park. Got my t-shirt on, Yellowstone, saw the bison, up into Montana, and actually found up in Montana, kind of near the Canadian border, I actually found an area of kind of old growth Douglas fir forest. So I'll try and post a couple of photos of those. Again, the trees weren't massive because it's still on the kind of eastern side of its range, but the forest was just cool, just kind of pristine old growth Douglas fir and cedar forest. So that was a bit of a treat. And now the next place we find trees appearing significantly in the Bible is Genesis 7, still kind of at the beginning of the Bible. Genesis, a lot in there, covers a huge time span. And in Genesis 7 we see God telling Noah to build his ark. Now if I was using any of the trees of Colorado to build an ark, Douglas fir would be the one. Nice, strong, durable timber, as I've already said, easy to work with. But I'm pretty sure that wasn't the timber that was used in the ark. Northwest America being quite a long way from the Middle East, where Noah was, and the Bible says it was gopher wood that Noah used for his ark, and there's a bit of uncertainty as to what gopher wood refers to in modern day language, but not Douglas fir. Pretty sure about that. Maybe cedar of Lebanon. Maybe it was English oak, who's closer to England than North America. And now we know English oak is just prime for building wooden ships. Just ask the French and ask Napoleon about that. So maybe he got a special consignment of English oak sent down. But anyway, Douglas fir would do a good job building an ark. And yeah, so because a couple of interesting things I want to draw out of Noah's story, building his ark. And the first one is that a lot of scholars think that Noah took nearly 100 years to build this ark. It was a huge project. They didn't have a lumber yard, DIY store they could just pop down to and buy truckloads of sawn timber off the shelf. He and his 3 sons, they had to go out and find the trees, cut them down, haul them out, saw them up, make them into the boat. So it was a huge project, and in that time span that it took for him to build it, there was huge opportunities for him to get discouraged and get kind of demotivated, and he was kind of doing something that no one had done before, and he was building this huge thing nowhere near an ocean, so it just seemed completely crazy. And so the point I want to draw from this is that if you've been commissioned to build something, God has commissioned you to build something, like He did Noah and his ark. And maybe that's a business, maybe it's your family, your marriage, maybe a church, a ministry. Then there's going to be opportunities to get discouraged and get kind of sidetracked, get distracted, as I'm sure there was for Noah in the time span it took for him to build this ark. But you've just got to keep focused and keep going back to the word that God has spoken to you. So that's the first point I just quickly want to draw from the story of Noah and his ark. The second one is obviously the whole thing about the flood, and people get confused about this in terms of God's judgment, and clearly it was judgment from God, but you've got to understand the kind of context of this, and that it'd been over 1,500 years from the time of Adam and Eve through to Noah, and in this time the human race had gone massively downward spiral in terms of their how they were living and how they were treating each other, and they completely rejected God. And God is the source of all life and goodness, and when we separate and when we disconnect ourselves from Him, then things go bad. And in 1,500 years, the human race had got to a pretty desperate state, and God has always wanted. His plan has always been for a relationship with us, with you, and a relationship based on grace, and a relationship based on our free will to choose. And so, God, 1,500 years of patience with the human race before He told Noah to build the ark. And it's kind of basically a case where God had to purge the human race, because they'd gone to such a desperate state that it was a downward trajectory, and maybe reminds you of what we see around us today, when society disconnects itself from God, the downward trajectory we see in kind of moral behaviour and how society functions. And so Noah's family was kind of the only family really that was still kind of connected to God. And so God said, well, I've got to purge, I've got to start again. I want this relationship with people, but I'm going to start again with Noah's family. And so that's what happened. And it shows, as much as it shows God's judgment against rebellion and sin, it also shows His patience. 1,500 years of wanting people to come back to Him, to see His goodness, and the law, which I speak about in my next little video, that wasn't God's plan A in terms of relationship with people. He wanted it first to be about to be based on His grace, and people to see His goodness. But He gave the law then to kind of give people a clearer code, and so that's that's really the kind of context of the flood and Noah's Ark, and then bringing it up to today. God still wants that relationship with us, with you, based on grace, and again we see downward trajectory that the human race has gone on, where it disconnects itself, or in societies where it disconnects itself from God, and we see in Jesus, the ark basically is pointing us to Jesus. Jesus is the ultimate ark, the ultimate kind of rescue boat, if you like, and if we just put our trust in Jesus, then we can enter that relationship with God that He wants us to, and we can be rescued from all the stuff around us that God didn't intend the human race to go down into, and Jesus is it just shows God's goodness and his love that he sent. He came in the person of Jesus, sent his Son, came himself to become that ark, that rescue boat, he's there to save us from the coming flood. And if we will put our trust in him, then we can experience that relationship with God that God intended right from the start. So I hope you have a great day. I'm just going to leave you with some views of some of these other Douglas firs that are dotted around this hillside. And if you live in the UK or somewhere else in North America, go and check out some Douglas firs near you. They're pretty impressive.